The rain had already been falling for hours. Cold, unbroken, and merciless. A young samurai named Runji walked alone through the muddy forest path, his soaked sandals sinking into the earth with every step. His clothes were torn, his shoulder was bleeding, and the katana at his waist felt heavier than iron. He had failed. Again! Just a few hours ago, Runji had stood in the great training courtyard of his clan. Dozens watched as he challenged a fellow warrior, one of equal rank. But the duel lasted less than a minute. Runji's guard broke, his breathing panicked, and he found himself defeated on the ground, humiliated while the others whispered. He ran, not from the pain, but from the shame. When he finally reached the small mountain hut of Master Cairo, the old samurai who lived far from the village, Runji collapsed to his knees. "Master," he said, his voice trembling, "I am not worthy of the sword. Every time I face difficulty, I fall, I lose, I break. Please, teach me how not to fail." Cairo did not answer immediately. He simply watched the boy, his expression unreadable. The old man's face was carved with deep lines, each one earned through battles Runji had only heard in stories. Finally, the master stood and motioned for Runji to follow him outside. The rain hammered down harder. The wind howled around them. But Master Cairo walked slowly, deliberately, as if the storm did not exist. They reached a small clearing where a giant boulder sat, covered in moss, untouched by the wind. Cairo pressed his palm against it and said, "This stone has been here longer than any warrior alive. Do you know why it has not moved?" Runji shook his head. Cairo's voice deepened. "Because it does not fight the storm. It endures it." Runji frowned. "How does endurance help me? I failed because I was weak." Cairo turned to him sharply. "No, you failed because you misunderstood failure." The master stepped closer until he was inches from Runji's face. "Listen carefully. Failure is not the end of your path. Failure is the beginning of it." He lifted his hand and pointed into the forest. "Do you hear the bamboo?" Through the rain, Runji could hear it, soft, rhythmic bending and straightening, never snapping, no matter how fierce the wind. Cairo continued. "Wood breaks, stone cracks, but bamboo survives everything, not because it is strong, but because it learns from every blow." Runji looked confused. Cairo smiled faintly. "Have you ever wondered why bamboo bends?" Runji stayed silent. "It bends," Cairo said, "because it is always adjusting. It does not resist a strike. It absorbs it and becomes stronger from it." The young samurai lowered his head, feeling the weight of the master's words. Cairo suddenly stepped behind him. "Runji," he said quietly, "tell me, what did you learn from today's defeat?" Runji closed his eyes, replaying the duel. "My breathing was wrong," he admitted, "and I panicked. My mind lost control first. My body followed." Cairo nodded. "And what will you change?" Runji hesitated, but then he said something he had never said before. "Everything." The master placed a hand on his shoulder. "Good. That is the first sign of true strength." He walked toward the hut again, slow and steady. Runji followed. Inside, the master lit a candle. The flame flickered wildly at first, then steadied. Cairo pointed at it. "This flame is like your discipline," he said. "Unsteady at first, but capable of lasting the night." Runji watched it silently. Cairo continued. "There is an ancient Japanese rule, Runji, a rule every warrior must learn." Runji's heart tightened inside his chest. "What rule, master?" Cairo leaned in, his voice low and calm. "Fall 7 times. Rise 8. Runji froze. Cairo repeated, slower. "The measure of a man is not how many times he succeeds, but how many times he refuses to remain fallen." The rain outside softened. The wind calmed. Silence filled the room. Runji whispered, "So you're saying failure is required?" Cairo nodded. "Required. Necessary. Unavoidable." Every great warrior was shaped, not by the battles they won, but by the battles they lost. Runji inhaled deeply. Cairo stood. "Tomorrow," the master said, "you will train, but not as the samurai who fought this morning." Runji looked up. "You will train as a samurai who rose after falling." The master handed him a bamboo sword. Tonight, rest. Tomorrow, we begin again. Renji felt something inside him shift. Not confidence, not strength, but something deeper. Resolve. He bowed silently to his master. Cairo extinguished the candle, and in that darkness, something new was born inside the young warrior. Not perfection, not victory, but the willingness to rise. The next morning came quietly. Cold air seeped through the shoji doors of the small dojo, brushing against Riku's skin as he sat alone on the wooden floor. His body still hurt from yesterday's training. His pride hurt even more. The weight of failure sat heavy in his chest, like a stone he couldn't swallow. Footsteps approached. The master entered, walking with the same calm presence that seemed carved from stone and time. He carried no sword today, no staff, only a folded piece of old cloth. He sat across from Riku without speaking. Riku bowed deeply. "Master, I failed again." The master didn't answer immediately. Instead, he placed a folded cloth between them and slowly unwrapped it. Inside was an old, broken piece of armor, cracked, bent, scarred. "Do you know whose this was?" the master asked. Riku shook his head. "It was mine," the master said quietly, "from the worst defeat of my life." Riku's eyes widened. "I was younger than you," the master continued, proud, impatient, certain I was stronger than I truly was. He touched the armor gently, almost respectfully. "In my arrogance, I underestimated an opponent. I lost, badly. My ribs were broken. My spirit was broken. And for a long time, I hated myself for it." Riku felt something shift inside him. "You? But you are strong." The master finished the sentence for him. "Disciplined, unshakable." He shook his head. "These things were not gifted to me. They were forged." The master lifted the cracked armor and held it in the morning light. "Failure," he said, "is not the end of the path. It is the path." Riku's breathing grew still. The words hit him deeper than any lecture ever could. "Tell me," the master said, "why does failure crush you?" Riku hesitated. His throat tightened. "Because it means I'm not good enough." The master gave the faintest smile. "No man is good enough before he begins. Not a warrior, not a king, not a master, not even me. Strength is not born from perfection. It is born from embarrassment, humility, and the courage to rise again." He leaned closer. "There's a rule every samurai lived by, the rule that kept them rising when everything inside them wanted to quit." Riku waited, silent. The master spoke clearly. "If you fall 7 times, you rise 8. Riku whispered, "Nana Kurobi Wae Oki." The master nodded. Every warrior knows these words, but few understand them. He placed the cracked armor in Riku's hands. "This," he said, "is what rising looks like. Bent metal, scars, imperfection, pain, not glory, not victory, but the decision to stand when your body says no and your mind says quit." Riku lowered his head as the meaning sank in. The master stood and motioned for him to follow. They walked outside into the cold morning air. Frost covered the ground. The sky burned soft gold. "Today," the master said, "you will train again." Riku swallowed. His legs still trembled from yesterday's punishment. "But what if I fail again?" The master stopped walking. "Then you will be closer to strength than you were yesterday." Riku felt something inside him ignite, a small flame, but a real one. "I will try." The master turned sharply. "No, you will not try." His voice grew harder. "You will accept failure. You will expect it. And then you will rise beyond it." He gestured toward the wooden dummy again, the same one Riku had collapsed in front of. "Begin." Riku stepped up. His hands shook. His breath wavered. But he didn't let fear rule him this time. He struck. The hit was weak, sloppy. The master didn't react. Riku struck again. Better. Then again. Stronger. His breathing steadied. His focus narrowed. Every mistake became information. Every failure became guidance. The master watched silently. Minutes turned to an hour. Riku's body screamed. Sweat dripped from his brow. His arms felt like breaking. He struck again. This time the wood vibrated under the force. He struck again. A crack formed on the surface. The master stepped forward, expression unreadable. "Do you feel it?" he asked. Riku nodded. "Yes, I felt myself improving." The master shook his head. "No, you felt yourself changing." Riku stared at the cracked wood, breathing heavily. In the darkest moments, the master said, a man discovers who he truly is, not during victory, not when things are easy, but when he is forced to confront the parts of himself that he fears, his weakness, his doubt, his failures. He placed a hand on Riku's shoulder. "You have begun your transformation. But understand this, the rule is not about falling 7 times. It is about the certainty that you will rise an 8th. Riku felt a surge of energy he hadn't known before, not confidence, but conviction. The master looked toward the rising sun. Strength is not built by avoiding failure. It is built by walking into the storm again and again until the storm bows before you. Riku straightened his posture. "I'm ready, master." The master nodded with pride he rarely showed. "Then your training begins, truly." The camera fades on Riku striking the wooden dummy again, stronger, steadier, unbroken, each blow echoing the ancient rule that will shape his life forever.